what they do. With an elephant in the room, where the local legends come true. That's not the way to come out of it.
I was in the womb writing double entendres. Hooked to a machine like I'm Conway. Serve me a plate, tengo hambre. No, it is the.
Good day, everyone. Chaplain Brown, Rogue Shepherd, and we are back for another episode of Elephant in the Room. And I can tell that you can see who I have with me here. We have the legendary, and I mean legendary, Rogue 7.
Wow. So thank you for that introduction. Thank you, all Desert Rogues. Happy to be here with you, Chaplain.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on the show, Sergeant Major. And today we're going to continue this role on talking about purpose. And we're going to also talk about a big question. And we're going to ask our leader here, what does it mean to be, or what does it mean as far as people first? But without further ado, I at least want to get an intro from Sergeant Major. So Sergeant Major, tell us a little bit about yourself, military career, family, and so forth.
Okay. Well, as everyone know, I am a Sergeant Major United States Army. However, I went full circle. I did all three branches of the Army.
Legendary.
Started out in the New York Army National Guard a long time ago. And I went to active duty. Funny story, a part of this explanation is that Fort Stewart was my very first active duty post. Back then it was 24th Infantry Division.
Does that even exist anymore?
It used to exist. The National Guard created a big division, but no, the colors are somewhere in hiding somewhere right now. But after that, I got out and became a police officer and kind of missed the military and joined the South Carolina Army National Guard. And
wow.
After I joined the South Carolina National Guard, while I was a police officer in South Carolina, I ended up didn't see a lot of upward mobility in the Guard at the time, so I moved over to the reserve side, and my career took off because I was kind of working in my field infantry. So I wanted to be, I was the OP4 NCO in the 87th Division, which is no longer in existence.
There's a lot of units no longer here.
And then September 11th happened, and I could remember sitting in my patrol car wanting to do a little bit more. Even though my reserve unit got mobilized, we wasn't taking part in the action. We were mobilizing folk and sending them to the action. So I wanted a little bit more. So after we I demobbed, I went to Army Recruiter and said, hey, I want to go back on active duty. And
back to the infantry.
Back to the infantry.
I didn't know you were even a police officer, a guy of many talents.
Yeah, I was a police officer, a truck driver. I was some of everything. It was called survival. So
had held literally every single job.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's part about being resilient, right? When you have family and a mouth to feed or mouths to feed, you have to do what you have to do to survive. So that's basically what all those skills and jobs were all about, is trying to make sure that at the time I had one daughter that she wasn't going to go without. So I struggled. I did a few things.
Absolutely.
Drove, taxied. But yeah, so this is all a part of surviving and part of human. And then so eventually I came back on active duty and deployed a few times and got rewarded by moving up in the rank.
Awesome.
Which is where I'm at now, back at Fort Stewart for the third time.
Back at Stewart 3 times for third ID.
I need to add, this is actually the second time in the Desert Rogue. So the Desert Rogue hold a very, very close place in my heart. So no hating on no other unit, but I am a rogue till the day I die. So
stay rogue.
Yeah.
All right, and I heard you talk about your daughters and so forth. And with that, as you talk about your daughters, just give me a snippet about them. And how many years of service do you have?
Well, yeah. Yeah, so years of service altogether right now is 39 years. Longer than most of you been alive.
They call you, when he was a sergeant, they call him the first sergeant, like the first in the Army.
I like to joke around, and since this is talking with the chaplain, I like to joke around and tell people that me and JC, Jesus Christ, kind of hung out together back in the day. But no, 39 years. Never regretted a day of it. Have not regretted a day of it, despite adversity. And we'll talk some more about being resilient later on, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
But my daughters are my lifeline. I don't want to talk too much about them because I have a tendency to get emotional. But they are my lifeline, and they mean the world to me. So.
And how many daughters?
3.
3 girls or women, because I'm sure they're grown.
I'm a girl dad. Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that, Sergeant Major. And we're just going to go ahead and dive deep. And I want to talk about, okay, what gives you purpose? Because we've been having a lot of episodes about purpose, being resilient, and we know that purpose drives a lot of things. So what gives you purpose, and how does that sustain you in life, whether it's the highs or the lows?
So I would tell you about purpose. What gave me purpose is coming to this country. I'm from the Caribbean, and so I'll give you a brief background. Hopefully I don't start boo-booing. But my mother came through this country as an immigrant, and she came to this country with less than $100 in her pocket.
Wow.
And she worked very hard. It was 6 of us, 3 boys and 3 girls.
Wow.
And so my
Lots of
mom
siblings.
came to this country, left me at the age of 5, and came to this country and worked hard and brought us all over here. And then when I came to this country, the one thing that my mom instilled in me, she said, you can be anything you want to be at any given time. And America has been rewarding to me. So serving America is what gave me purpose. It's
Nice.
kind of like paying back,
Absolutely.
for what America has done for me and the rest of my siblings and family.
Okay. That's a very interesting story, and thank you for sharing that. I sense that your mom definitely instilled much purpose in you and so forth, and part of that is gratitude. So I appreciate you sharing that. And just about purpose in general, like what are your beliefs and like what has sustained you?
Well, I always like to tell people my faith kind of keeps me going. I may not be the Bible thumping kind of individual, but I think you gotta have faith in something. I choose to have
Absolutely.
faith and believe that there is a God, and so therefore I kind of use that faith. Of course, I grew up in church too, so
Okay.
but I believe faith drives me, and destiny drives me. And wanting to always do better, always want to improve myself is what drives me. So that what drives my belief. That's what drives my motivation.
Okay.
And that's what keeps me every day.
So faith, and that's just an encouragement again to everyone to believe in something. And I thank you for sharing that and elaborating on that, because faith actually, it kept you 39 years and maybe 39 more, who knows? But yeah, purpose, and that faith gives purpose.
Yeah.
So, and with that, so we talk a lot about this people first initiative, and there's a lot of confusion out there, and I know we had episodes on it before, but as a leader that's been in, for quite some time, what does it mean as far as people's first?
So I'll tell you from my perspective, taking care of people or putting people first, it means more than giving a soldier a day off. It means more than just telling soldiers yes for everything, right? As a leader, it's me making sure that if these soldiers get the call, or if we get the call today by our government, making sure that you train your soldiers to survive.
Absolutely.
And part of taking care of people is ensuring that you train them to survive today's battlefield, and making sure that their family is taken care of. Also, it's more than just and taking care of soldiers means that, or taking care of people, and particularly for us, because it's our profession, we talk about counseling soldiers. Counseling soldiers, not only when they do something wrong, but counseling them monthly, like a leader, to let them know how they're doing. And counseling don't always have to be on paper.
True.
Taking care of people, you see people doing good stuff, you reward them. You see them on a day-to-day basis. I walk around the footprint of the battalion a lot of times. I just talk to every soldier.
Absolutely.
I try to treat every soldier as equal. Because I came from the cloth where sergeant majors, you very rarely saw them. And when you do, it was probably for something bad. And I wanted to make sure that people understand that you're human. And you're
true.
People, and leaders are human.
We still people.
Yeah, and we're still people. So taking care of people and people first means you're making sure mind, body, spirit, tactically proficient, and making sure that the soldiers are well trained to defeat any enemy today if called upon. So that's taking care of people in a nutshell for me.
Taking care of people. So I'm getting training is a big part of that. And that education, that knowledge, that wisdom and understanding, I'm speaking some spiritual and in this case biblical terms, that will sustain people throughout and come back to their loved ones. Yeah. So we want to train folks, from what I'm hearing, to do what the military has purposed them to do as far as when they join this organization, yep. And that's to keep our country safe.
Yes.
And in addition, come back home. So we want soldiers to train hard and come back home is one of the biggest things, so that they can continue taking care of their families and so forth like that.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I'm not gonna get into my emotional story, because you will see me boo-hoo. But as a leader, you want to make sure that you could answer to the affirmative to any next of kin, or whether it's a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a spouse, that you have done the best you can as a leader to ensure that you train their sons, their daughters, their husbands, their wives, their spouses, to survive.
Absolutely.
And scripture verse comes to mind, right? It says that God called the young because they're strong, but he called the old, and I'm old, so that we already lead the way, because we're based on experience. Oftentimes, I think leaders take their experience for granted. Your experience is not something you have that you don't share.
Absolutely.
And we have different levels of experience, right? So as leaders, we have to share our experience, and transparency.
True.
Is don't try to be something that you're not as a leader, right? You have to be transparent. Sometimes you have to take that veil apart and let everybody see the human side of you. And I think soldiers kind of gravitate to that type of leader.
That's true.
I've witnessed that. So a lot of times we try to put on a persona and paint a false picture of what a leader is. A leader is a person. You have to know when to turn it on, turn it off, right?
True.
You can't walk around like, even the Hulk turns back into David Banner.
That is true.
All right, so
I like that analogy, and I really appreciate that, Sergeant Major Rogue 7, and we just got some words of wisdom coming from our senior leadership. And I appreciate you coming on this show and sharing part of your story. I know there's a long list of stories to tell, but thank you for just giving us some insight. And without any further, this is Elephant in the Room, Rogue 7, Rogue Shepherd, signing off.
Bye. Enjoy your Rogue Day.